Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's Thursday Live. My name is Denise Armenio, and I am a certified emotion code, body code, and genius biofeedback practitioner. And we are going to be working with the Inside Health app, Genius app today. We will be doing a training and working with a volunteer to show how we conduct a scan. So we will get started with that in just a moment. I just wanted to take the time to introduce my co-host, Claire McIntyre. She is here with me today, and she will help be answering any questions that you may have in the chat. So if you do have questions, please put them in the chat. And okay, and so someone's just asking right now in the questions before I get started, share how you watch your replays. So if you go into YouTube, Inside Health Apps has a channel, and then you can just you could just put in like Denise Armenio and you'll find the whole bunch. I mean, there's like probably 2 years worth of videos. You can really binge watch Thursday Live if you want to. So anyway, that is how you watch them. Okay, so now I'm just going to start sharing my screen. And I have already added in the personal information for our volunteer today. So that is why we are on the screen that we're on. Sorry, I'm just trying to load oh, here it is, the chat. So I can see it. And now I lost. Okay. So oh, thank you, Karen. She put the YouTube, a link to YouTube. Yeah, you could totally binge probably for a very long time. Okay, so after you get through the first two screens and or actually the first screen, the information it asks you to put in is the name of the client and also the birth date, and then you just hit next, and it brings up your user record field, and this is where you would put in all the information about what's going on with your client and what issues you are going to be working on. So Ubara, I'm saying that right, I hope I am.
Yes.
If you can just give me a little insight of what's going on with you, and very short. So the things that I would be looking to that would be most beneficial to work on for this demonstration would be if you have any pain anywhere, or like emotional pain, or any kind of like symptoms that, if it's a cough or something that you might be able to see if it's changed in this short period of time. Like weight loss wouldn't be a good thing to work on, because obviously you're not going to lose like about 5 pounds after one session here. Although that would be really, really cool.
Really good.
That is really, the Genius is not a red pill for that. So, I mean, it can help you, but it's going to be, obviously you have to incorporate good eating habits and other, lifestyle changes, along with working on, on clearing like blocks and things like that to weight loss. So with that said, what are some things that you would like to work with today?
Basically my eyes. I had a cataract removal on the left eye, and just yesterday had a cataract removed from the right eye, and they're still a little wonky. The right eye kind of stings and burns a little bit. The left eye is coming around, but it doesn't feel 100%. I mean, I can see better, but it's still not quite there.
Okay, great. That's something really good to work with. Do you have any blurred vision?
Little bit of blurred vision on the right eye, which I'm told is part of the healing process.
Okay, well, maybe we can accelerate that a little bit for you. Is there any double vision,
No,
lightheadedness, or anything like
yeah,
that?
a little lightheadedness.
Okay, great. And so can you, on a scale of 0 to 10, 10 being severe, just rate, like what that burning sensation or
It's
stinging
about a
burning,
4.
is
Yeah.
it the same in both eyes?
No, mostly the right.
And how does the left eye feel?
The left eye feels scratchy. It still feels a little scratchy.
Okay, so how would you rate that?
That's about a 2. It's not severe.
Okay. Okay, great. Is there anything else that comes to mind that you would want to work on, or is this basically the primary thing?
Just my back,
Okay, and lower back, upper back, mid back,
upper back between the shoulder blades and the neck where the spine connects into the head.
and how would you rate it today?
It's about a 5.
Okay, great. So let's work on those two things, and I'm just gonna put in here, where is it? I'll put neck pain and back pain. Okay, this user records is just for the user's use. It has nothing to do with the scan. So anything that you put in here doesn't mean that the Genius knows to work on these items. So this is just so when you come back, maybe next time to the next session, you know what you worked on, and you could either, you'll see if they're better, and you can maybe unclick them and possibly put, the new date and the new things that you want to work on, but these are your notes. Okay,
Okay,
so I'm just gonna click
great.
and hit begin. And now we're going to go into the voice analysis part. And so I'm just going to ask you to, I will give you a countdown. I'll say 3, 2, 1, begin. And then I just want you to say the vowels, nothing else, but repeat the vowels until the 15-second counter, which is this counter right here, gets to 0.
Okay,
Okay, I'm gonna count you down and
okay,
then just say the vowels. You don't have to say them super slow, but don't say them super fast.
okay.
Somewhere in between. So 3, 2, 1, begin.
A, E, I, O, U, A, E, I, O, U, A, E.
Perfect. Perfect. You just stopped at the second short. That's fine. Okay. So now, what I suggest and recommend is after you do the recording, you do press the voice harmonics down on the bottom left side of the screen. That is basically will show you how the Genius has translated your recording into a frequency, and it does have some healing benefits for you. So it is nice to add that. So I'm just going to play
Okay,
this right now for you.
okay.
Okay. And so now the next thing we can do is just click next. Continue. And you don't have your camera on, so I am just going to bypass
Uh,
this, or if you put it on, I'll take a quick picture of you, whichever you prefer. But if not, it's fine. I can just bypass this part.
okay. I
Okay.
don't know. why it's
That's
not
fine.
coming
If
on.
your picture was here, I could just add it into my photos and then I could click on this little avatar and it would say existing photo. And I could just grab that picture and then run the analysis. But
Okay,
I'm just going to bypass it by hitting skip. Okay. And now the genius is asking for an energetic affirmation. I have an affirmation that I like to use that I can add in here. And similar to when you give load your voice, when you type in this written affirmation, the genius will use algorithms and it will translate the typed words into a frequency, and that frequency will be overlaid every time I run frequencies for you within this session. So
okay.
I'm just going to add that in here now, and I'm just going to type all energies are muted into the frequency of your okay, and then we just hit okay. And so now I'm going to go to the bottom and hit begin analysis. Okay, and before I start getting into details on what the numbers and the colors mean, I'm going to scroll down to the section called biofield, and I'm going to click on the line for aura so that we can look at your aura picture. And then again, we hit begin analysis. Okay, so let's whoop, I'm just gonna unhide the aura. So this aura, so what we look for in the aura are bright, vibrant colors. So this looks great. I love the green color. It's nice and bright. When I say bright colors, think along the lines of neon colors. The brighter, the more neonish, the better, because it has more light in it. The darker the colors start to bring in more of that dark energy. So they are the 7 colors of the chakras that we're looking at. So in more general terms, I would think of the brighter colors that represent each chakra as more of the positive attributes, and the darker the color resonating more with the negative attributes of the chakra that it corresponds to. You want to see really crisp and clear and vibrant. So you can see in here that this is a little blurry and fuzzy, not so much in the center. It looks pretty clear in the center, but you see it getting fuzzier as we move out. That is an indication of some negative energies or interference in there. And that, from my observation, is really hard to clear ever since everybody started getting that thing. Even if you didn't get it, they're shedding with it. So just try your best. It does affect our auric field, so the best thing you could do is clear everything around you and hope that's the best way to clear it. But
Okay,
this overall, it looks like a nice bright aura. It could also look really ugly in a second if we run too many things, because it kind of uncovers what's behind what's causing that fuzziness, you know what I mean? So anyway, let's just look. We have the old aura. Yeah, and you can see in here, you see this gray and dark. That's that interference I was talking about. So it does like to hide and conceal itself. So although those colors were good, there's still some stuff hiding underneath that. So there's a lot of work you can work on to do in spiritual protection, to help try to clear up some of this gray imaging. One thing you do want to look for when you're in this old version is that all four corners are filled with color. I would say that they're not. It looks like it's filled up top, but more with like a gray or a darker gray, but on the bottom it looks like it's not filled. So this would be an indication to me that you're not grounded, and a good amount of you is not in your body, so you're a little bit out of body. So we will work on grounding with you, but also it's a good might be good for you to go for a walk on the grass barefoot if you can, or hug a tree, or get to the beach, or be around, by a lake or water or something like that. Those are all great ways to get grounded. Okay, so now let's dig into what the colors and the numbers mean here. So the Genius works on a numerical value system. So the numbers range from 1 to 777, and that's divided into 4 categories, or 4 ranges. The lowest range goes from 1 to 200, and that's represented by the color blue. And items in this range are observed to be chronic energetic disturbances. We can sometimes we refer to it as stagnant energy, sometimes we refer to it as under energy, but the items in this range are causing some kind of a crisis in your body and in your energy field. So it is important to work with those, and very often items in this range are going to be like underlying causes, probably with other issues. The next range goes from 201 to 450. That's represented by the color green. Then we go from 451 to 600. That's represented by the color yellow. And our high range goes from 601 to 777. That is represented by the color red. And it is observed to be acute energetic disturbances. That might also be referred to as heat or inflammation. And it's also, these items are going to be causing a stress on the body. But these items, because they are acute, are happening now and in the present. So the difference between the red and the blue is that the red, it's measuring an energetic disturbance, but it's telling you it's happening now in the present time. And the energetic disturbance that's happening in the blue is chronic. It's been happening for a longer period of time. Now, with that said, everybody wants to know, well, where should it be? Is it yellow? Is it green? The way I work, and how some other practitioners work, not everybody works the same way, but I like to work and keep it pretty tight. So for me, everything between 400 and 600 is kind of that balanced range. Anything outside of that, I will work with. But for those of you that are just starting out and just beginning with the Genius and getting used to it, I would just work with your reds and blues. But so again, so with that 400 to 600 range, what that means for me is that the yellows are balanced and only a small amount of the greens. So between 400 and 450 of the greens would be balanced. So when I'm dragging and dropping, many of the time I'm working with blues, greens, and reds. And if I only work with 2 colors, I would just work with the blues and the greens, because the greens are a lower score, so are hovering on potentially being more chronic. Now that's how I work, and that's my intention when I work. So if somebody else works differently, that's not to say that it's wrong or they can't work that way. It's just what intention that you hold. So that's my 2 cents on the yellows and the greens. The other thing I just wanted to point out are these arrows here on the left-hand side. That's just telling you that you can go a level deeper. So in other words, if you click on this arrow, you can see the contents of the library panel. It is not color coded in this display, but it does give you all the same information as if you click on the line for, let's say, electrical sensitivities. So if I close this and now click on the line, you will now see the same information, just in a displayed differently. So now you can see it color coded. And the little information bar is just all the way to the right, and it's not in the middle of the screen anymore. Okay, so now I'm just going to, sorry, the Zoom controls covering my units. Where? Okay, so now we're back to the system overview page. So the next thing I want to do here is show you what my step 1 is when I start a session on somebody. So if you are on the trial or you don't have the bioterrain panel, I would recommend that you add all the items from the biofield. So you can drag and drop all these lines into the main pull tray, as well as vitamins, minerals, and amino acids from body. And you can drag them in. The reason why we work on the biofield and those 3 items from the body, because they are the essential nutrients that our cells need. So basically we want to work on strengthening our auric field and the cells of our body before we start working on other things. So we want to make sure that the foundation is strong before we start working on other items. So for me right now, I'm going to go to custom libraries so I can show you the library that I was referring to in the bioterrain. So now that I'm in custom libraries, I need to run an analysis there. Sorry, this takes a few extra minutes because I have over 2,000 libraries. Okay, so the little tab in the center of the screen brings down an advanced search function. So now we can click on this little like magnifying glass, and I'm going to type in bioterrain. And you can see the first panel that I have in there. I put begin because this is the vessel priming frequencies that I recommend that you start with. So I can click and hold down on that line, and I can drag it down to my main pull tray, and it does add all the contents into the main pull tray. Now I have 177 items in that library. The reason it's 188 is because the library title counts as a line item when it gets added in. Now I'm just going to click on the line so you can see what is in there. Now there are 187 items in here. As you can see, there are some reds, some yellows, greens, and blues. I'm going to add them all into the main pull tray. And the reasoning behind adding them all in is because we want all of these items to be balanced. When we're looking at this right now, all these yellow ones we believe to be balanced. But when the Genius looks at these, when it gets the calculations or the numbers for these line items, it's taking the individual frequency of each of those line items and it's comparing it against our energy field. So it's kind of like being in a vacuum. So it might just be like silicon and our energy field, and it uses the algorithm or calculations and comes up with 500. When you add the items into the main pull tray, now it's using more sophisticated algorithms, and it's looking at the relationship of all the items in the main pull tray. So now when they're all together, they may not be happy. Just like when you're when you're having a conversation with 2 or 3 people, if more people join the conversation, the dynamic changes a little bit, and maybe the whole energy or vibe of the group isn't the same. It would be the similar thing. So that's why I add them all in. So we can go now and press this play button, which is going to bring us progressive insights. And we can hit begin analysis. Okay, so the first step I do is I'll always put my timer on 1 minute to start. I'll select all and I'll just run all those items. Okay, so if you look at the bottom of the screen, it says average percent rectification is 21%. On the Genius, anything between 20 and 40% is considered good, and above 40% is considered excellent. So this is a good rectification. It's just not great. The other thing we want to look at is harmony, alignment, and energy flow. We want to look at those percentages. We want to look at the low percentage, which in this case, next to energy flow, you see 12%. And then you want to look at the high percentage, which in this case is 27 next to harmony. And you don't want that range to really exceed 20. It's been my observation that it's more stable if the range is within 20. If it gets higher than that, let's say the range is 50 or 55, it will go out of balance. So this will hold and stay better the more stable it is. So since this is low, I am going to run it again. I'm going to try deselecting the mediums and just run the highs and the lows. I'm going to put the timer on 0 minutes and just run it for about 30 seconds and see if that will help. So now you can see we get the little chime here because the percent rectification is above 40%, which is great. It's 44. And the harmony, alignment, and energy flow is really tight. It's between 41 and 46. So that's fantastic. So the next thing I'd like to do is, since we have the average percent rectification above 40% and it is within that 20%, I like to go to the top right corner and hit rescan. Then I'm going to also select the lows and the highs again, and I'll run those for about 30 seconds as well. Larry, I'll get to your question in just a second. Okay, again, excellent. So the average percent rectification is 58%. I also want to let you know that this is just a probability. So the genius isn't going to tell us which items did in fact harmonize or balance. All it tells us is that of the number of items, now we only did the highs and the lows, so that's roughly 2/3 probably of the list. 58% of them harmonize, so that's great. And if you look at the harmony, alignment, and energy flow, again, it goes from 49 to 66. So that's within that 20 range. So that's also great. So I am now going to back out of here because I'm really happy with those results. And now I'm just going to hit this, this like up arrow to the right of the main fold tray. And I can hit the clear all to clear that. And now we can start on the step 2. First, I just want to answer Larry's question. He says, is there a rule of thumb to determine the scan time, and can you scan too much? Yes, and yes, potentially you can. I would start with small increments to begin with. If you watch me do these weekly trainings, I don't usually work with long amounts of time, and I usually get a pretty good rectification. So if you're not getting a good percent rectification, then maybe you want to increase it, but maybe go to 3 minutes. I wouldn't move it up to anything crazy. Usually the higher the increment for me is more if it's like a current issue, then maybe sending more frequencies for a longer period of time would be helpful. When you say, can you scan too much? Scanning too much could sometimes cause an issue. It wouldn't be a serious issue, but it could cause you to feel overstimulated, or potentially, depending on what you're scanning, if it's a detox and you just run it too long, it could put you in a little bit of a health crisis. Again, that's not the worst thing. It means that you're healing, right? But it might be uncomfortable for you for a little bit until that clears. So I would start off with short bursts of time. It doesn't really need more time than that. I do admit sometimes if I'm scanning myself, I tend to put it on 0 minutes, and I just kind of use my own gut and intuition. Like when I just intuitively go back to it, is when I would turn it off. So sometimes I do use it that way, but otherwise I use it in small increments of time. So I hope that helps. Okay, step 2. So step 2, we're going to work with the general overview, and you get there by clicking on the system overview. And what the general overview is it takes all the line items from the system overview and from all the line items to the custom libraries, and it puts them into one list in chronological order. Now the default puts it from the highs all the way down to lows. I actually like to look at it from the lows to high, only because the blues are going to be your more chronic and more of your underlying causes. So I like to look at those first. I do have a lot of libraries, so I have a lot of line items here. I don't have the time on this demo, even if I wasn't on a demo, to scroll through all these because there are so many. So, how I work with it, given that I have so many line items, is I will add the bottom 50, which means the bottom 50 blues. And we can look at those just quickly. I don't know if any of this would make sense to you. Spinal 2, C2, you did mention your neck, so that kind of makes a little bit of sense there to me. Then we have a kidney meridian point. We have an affirmation: I am free and cleared from any and all nano cameras and lasers. I am moody. I have a sense of hope concerning the future. I can experience a new beginning. So here are some affirmations that, the genius translates into frequencies, and these frequencies have been out of balance for a longer period of time. Again, not sure if they resonate for you. If they don't, it's okay too. All that's important is that we are working with trying to balance these frequencies. Were you going to say something? I thought you're.
No, not really. It's the C2 thing. Yeah, that's happening or was happening.
So yeah, I mean, we can scroll down more on here, but it's just we don't have enough time to go down and do that. So now that I've added like the top bottom 50, what I like to do is remove all my custom panels, and now I just have all the items from the system review. And now I'll add all the blue items. Okay, so that gives us about 154 items. It will make us a little top heavy on the amount of items in the tray. So I'm not really, I don't really, I'm going to do it in 2 batches today, but that's just how I feel is better to work on it with you. I use just the blues first, and then we can look at the red. So I'm just going to hit the play. And then again, okay, so again, I'm going to put the timer on 1 minute. I'm going to select all, and I'm going to hit play. Okay, excellent. So again, the percent rectification is at 55%. That's great. And it's really tight, again, going between 52 and 61%. So that's awesome. So for me, I would rescan this. And like shuffling the deck to see which goes, how everything sorts out now that you had a good rectification. And I'm going to select the lows and just the highs. I'm not going to work with the mediums, and I'm going to turn the timer down to 0 minutes and just work for about 30 seconds. So really good. 60% average rectification. It goes from 47 to 70%. So that's slightly over the 20, but you did grade the first rectification, and this is pretty close, and it's a demo. So I'm happy with that. I'm going to move on. So I'm going to back out of here now and to the general overview, and I'm going to clear out the blues. And now I'm going to do work with the red. So I haven't added the library back in yet. So I'm going to add the red items. And now I can add the libraries back in, and I can hit the top 50. Okay, and now I'm going to hit the play so we can go to the progressive insights and begin analysis. And I'm going to move the timer to, whoops, let's see, 1 minute and select all. Okay, so that's at 31%. Harmony, alignment, and energy flow, that's really tight, so that's good. I'm just going to move the timer down to 0 minutes and deselect the mediums and see if we can just get the highs and lows a little bit. Okay, so that's at 39%. This isn't so bad. I'm not going to stay here to get it up higher than 40% just because I want to get to some of the issues that you said, but we did pretty good here getting at 39%. So I'm going to go back now to the system overview page. I am going to empty out and clear this. I do want to just ask you how you are feeling. A lot of times people, even though I haven't yet addressed your issues, will feel shifts with just the first 2 steps. Have you noticed any change in the burning or the vision in your eyes?
It's kind of smoothing out a little bit. Before there were sort of choppy feelings. Now it's just, it's still there, but it's not burning as much.
Okay, great. And what about your back, neck, and shoulders? How are they doing?
They feel better. They don't feel so tight.
Okay, great. So and the reason why I have you just do a little check-in here is just so everybody can just understand how powerful these first 2 steps are in working with your issues when we haven't even really specifically addressed what it is that we wanted to work on. So with that said, now I'm gonna go into just gonna use a few items from the system page, and I like to work with the emotions a little bit. So I'm going to add in the blues and the reds. And my reasoning for adding in the reds and the blues here is because you may have some emotions that are coming up because you just had that work done on your eyes presently. So some of those may be showing up in here. And then obviously the blue, any chronic issues, we, emotions that have been chronically out of balance, you would want to work with. We, I'm also going to bring in, where are we? Organs. And your eyes, they're red. Look at that. The genius knows.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
And body systems. I'm going to add the muscular. We can even add in the integumentary and the skeletal system, which is down here. So again, that makes sense. Your muscular and skeletal are off and you have complaints of your back, neck, and shoulder. So now I just want to go into my custom libraries, and I want to start off with going into, I have a pain library. So I'm going to click on that, and time is clicking by quickly. So I'm just going to add the blues and the reds in here for you. And then I want to look at eyes. Vision. Some issues, cataract. Okay, so we have and now human body structure, we can deal with your shoulders, neck, and back a little bit in here. So let's look at and your ligaments of your shoulder. So I'm going to add all of them because even the ones that are good, sometimes we have reactive muscles, ligaments. We can also this one. Here. Okay, why isn't it letting me drag and drop that? Thank you, Karen, saying that there was cataract and entangled insights that it might be, we just don't have time in this demo right now to go into that, but thank you, Karen.
Yeah, it doesn't. I'm missing any questions.
And then let's just do how is your balance?
My balance is not quite right. Sorry, I
Okay,
had to answer.
let's work on that. Your hyoid bone, which is actually right in here, it's like the only bone that like it's suspended, that has a lot to do with centering and balance. So let's see if we can clear that up for you. going
Yeah, it's
over.
been kind of wacky.
The what?
It's been off kilter before the surgery and after the surgery.
Okay, so let's see. I'm just clearing out the roadblocks so your body can do it. Okay, so I put it on 1 minute. I'm selecting all, and I'm gonna play this for you. Bless you. Okay, so it's a 39% rectification. Let's move the timer down to 0 and deselect the mediums and see if we can just work with the highs and the lows. Okay, so that's still on the low side, the percent rectification. So I'm just now chunking it down so they're smaller chunks so that hopefully it can rectify better. Okay, so we're at 39%. That's not so bad. I'm going to deselect the lows, select the highs. Okay, awesome. So you have a 67% rectification here. And again, it's nice and close together in there. How are you feeling right now? Are you feeling?
I feel okay. My throat feels scratchy. I don't know why, but it feels
I
kind
feel
of.
it. It may be something in your throat chakra that needs to clear. So I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna clear out. Your eyes feel better?
Yes.
Okay. So and your back and shoulders, neck better?
Yeah.
Okay.
Looser.
So good. What I'm gonna do is add in your throat chakra. And I'm just going to go into and give you some grounding. I'll add the blues and the reds here and run these for 30 seconds. clarification. How's your throat feel now?
It still has a little bit of that feeling of scratchiness right up towards the top of the right under the chin, but it feels better. Doesn't feel quite so.
It's probably how it's all clearing out. Let's just see what your aura looks like now. So we see it's a little fuzzy in the center and we have some darkness in there. It's a nice blue color that's coming in. It's still, we still have that dark energy in there. You might want to work with, we could just maybe run it for a few seconds. Just put in grounding. And I'm gonna do, oh, and your chakra. Let's just run this for 30 Okay, awesome. Any better?
Well, it hasn't been sticking and kind of feeling like I want to cough.
Good.
So yeah, I think it's wow.
Okay. So yeah, it's a little pale. That's okay. Let's just see what the old one looks. Okay, so this is looking better. You can see that we're clearing out some of those negative energies. You still have more of those. I would work more in the spiritual protection library a little bit
Okay.
to try to clear those out. You're not going to get a, you're always going to flip flop. In my experience, with all that fuzziness, you may run it and it looks really bright, and then the next minute you'll run a lot of frequencies and you may see the grays or the blacks in there. Again, in my experience, some of that stuff you need outside things to clear those things more.
Outside? You mean out
Well,
in
just
nature?
like I do a different energy clearing. It's
Oh,
just there are a little heavier, darker energies that the genius isn't going to get to.
okay,
Um,
I get it.
so anyhow, but I do all that clearing on myself too, and it's still fuzzy. It's kind of like, we're living in it's kind of in the air we breathe right now, so it's really, really hard to really clear it all the way.
Yeah.
Anyhow,
Does burning sage help?
it does help. It's just that it's the shedding and everything is everywhere we are. We really can't get out from under us. So it
Yeah,
weakens the aura and lets all these other energies in. And so, like, if we're here in our home, even if you're here in your home and you walk outside and it's all around you again.
yeah,
So
I get it.
it's really, it's working on getting your vibration up as high as it can go, and that's the best protection that you can have from all of it. And you know, and the more you can get above it all, the better protected you will be. But it's just difficult. So what I do want to say is, don't think that you're not getting, you know, you're still getting positive results. You're still working and clearing things, but don't get frustrated if you can't get rid of that blurriness. It's not
Okay.
like an isolated situation.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So does anybody have any other questions before we leave? Again, apologies. I'm sorry we went a little bit over. But before we leave, if anybody had any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Nope, no questions. All right. Then everybody have a wonderful, wonderful week. Thank you as always for being here. Thank you, Claire, for helping in the chat. And I look forward to seeing you all next week. Have a great week, everyone.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Bye.
Cheerio. Bye.